I now recognize the Vice Chair of the full committee, Mr. Hill of Arkansas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chair Powell, for being with us. You're welcome anytime. Don't wait till we ask. If you want to volunteer and come, we love having your views on many topics. Thanks for talking about your commitment to price stability. You know, we've had this discussion last June between us of, I do think that's the primary mission of the Fed, and I think it should be the only priority of the Fed is price stability, because it's the legislative branch and the executive branch that really are responsible for, quote, full employment and having that policy environment and making sure that that's right. So your commitment to price stability is welcome by this committee. Yesterday in the Senate, you suggested that you supported a regulatory framework, a broadly regulatory framework for digital assets. Is that right?
Yes.
And is it your view that if we had a regulatory framework here in the United States for digital assets, that there'd be more transparency and rules of the road for both consumers, investors, and developers?
Absolutely.
And would it, if we had those rules of the road for business seeking to use and develop blockchain as a potential new technology in their business and tokenized payments, that again, that would be beneficial to business to know how to go about that?
Yes, and to assure that it's all done in a safe and sound manner when we're talking about banks.
Right. And then my next point would be exactly that, to help banks, investment brokers, custodians understand how they could even participate in that market in a safe and sound manner. Do you agree that a regulatory framework would help on that?
Yes.
And then finally, we've grown up in our country, and it's unique in the world, that we have a dual banking system, and due to a quirk here in Congress over 100 years ago, we have insurance is regulated exclusively by the states. So would you believe that that regulatory framework would also have to preserve some sort of role subject to safety and soundness, you know, for states to play some role in that regulatory framework for digital assets?
Let me just say, I think that it certainly works in banking and insurance. I have no problem with those.
Right, but you think it could, you consider it possible that it could also work in digital assets?
Certainly possible.
Yeah, thank you. Turning to a topic that's been a subject here for nearly 4 years, central bank digital currencies. Article 1 of the Constitution reserves coins and coin issuance, money issuance to the Congress. And we've in turn delegated that to the U.S. Treasury, which has, since 1912, engaged the Federal Reserve as their fiscal agent. You've testified here many times before that to issue a central bank digital currency, that would have to be authorized by statute by Congress. Is that still your testimony?
So that is absolutely the case as it relates to a retail CBDC. There are potential forms of a wholesale CBDC that we need to look at. It's less clear. But we've always been talking about retail CBDC, and that's something we would certainly need congressional approval for.
And what would be a parameter on something that's not a retail CBDC where you think that could be issued in some form or fashion without Congress's direct statutory authorization?
It would be, for example, it would just be something between banks, so it would look an awful lot like a bank reserve. And you might ask, well, why would we need it? And that's a really good question too.
Yeah.
But it's just something that's literally within a wholesale market.
But that speaks that you might have a blockchain between banks and the Fed using a central bank digital currency token to settle transactions institutionally inside yeah.
Yes.
So that leads me to FedNow, which is supposed to be up and running, I think, this summer, somewhat behind the scene there. I would like to ask you to formally have this full committee briefed on that by the Federal Reserve. I know the chair of the Kansas City Bank was involved. She's now left, and I think the committee has a lot of questions about FedNow, how its interoperability will work, how it's going to roll out, and also just a question that we've been asked, that why the Fed wire system isn't up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week now to benefit consumers that are using Venmo. Do you have a thought on that?
I'm not sure why we're not 24/7 on that, and of course, we'd be delighted to come up and brief the committee on FedNow.
That'd be good. We'll take you up on that and the right person from the Fed. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. We'll now recognize the